Hello friends. Remember, I wanted to do blue eyeshadow today. I haven't done blue eyeshadow in a little while, and it's one of my favorite colors to wear, especially a powdery, I don't know if I want to do cornflower blue. Cornflower is a little deeper. I think I want to do more of a powdery blue. But first, we have to start I want to do a more neutral crease, but then I want to bring, I'm going to quit yapping. Let's start with clean canvas. Whenever I use clean canvas, it means I'm really and truly just starting a clean canvas because it has so much coverage. Jean is snoring. I'm using the shade Light, and I'm using a very dense brush, my C31. I'm gonna bring that all the way over here. We'll clean that up later, but this just kind of, I bring it out really far because I'm really not sure what I'm wanting to do or where I'm taking this, so we can always remove it later, taking it all the way up to my brow hair. Now, the reason I'm not putting it on my lid is because we want to use a white base there. And the reason why is because anytime you use a white base under a pastel, it's going to really enhance it. Even though this is a very light base, white is going to be way more impactful. So let's just finish up over here. And I'm also pressing. Pressing is going to really even this out, but keep that coverage as well. It's also a good technique for concealer to even it out, but keep the coverage. And also don't forget, just a reminder, because it's a limited time offer, and every single time that a sale ends, everyone goes, oh, I missed it. So that's why I'm squawking. I don't want you to miss it, but this is normally $135. You get the bag, 5 brushes. It's normally $135. It's only $75 right now. I'm gonna get a link for you. And again, we're not squawking, we're just reminding, because then my DMs are full and then y'all miss it. So just bear with me here. So what we're gonna do here, I'm cold, I use my hair as a blanket. I wanna use this palette. I love this palette. As you can see, I use it all the time, but I wanna keep everything a little bit more neutral. Let's start with this shade, and I'm also going to work on my crease color right now. Flip that, actually, let's just put a little extra here. I'm gonna work on it now, that way I don't dirty up my white base in a second, and I can just clean up my lid. So this is a really good tip when you're using pastels. Go ahead and get your socket color going. That way you don't have to put white base on top of this, or you can clean it up. Keeps everything much, much cleaner. Just gonna push that into my socket. I might warm it up just a hair, but you're actually able to create more depth when you use a shadowy, cool color like this, as opposed to a really warm shade like, I just gave Jean a hug. I got cat hair. Let me show you what I'm talking about. You can create more depth, more shadow, as opposed to using a shade like this, a very warm shade. So just about any skin tone, because it's very, very shadowy. And shadows are generally cool. So I picked up more of that same shade. I'm just gonna keep pushing that into my socket. I might warm up the transition towards the brow a little bit, but I like the idea of the shadow there. Now let's go ahead and start the transition. You're gonna notice this shade. I told you I wanted to warm up that transition just a hair, and where my middle finger is right there, that's the shade we just used. You can see this is just a hair warmer. It's gonna work as a really nice transition. I'm just gonna take that and I tap it right above and a little bit in. And I tilt my head back. I feel like I haven't used clean canvas in 1,000 years, and it gives such a specific look to the eye, and I love it. So normally I don't do a lot of palette hopping unless it's Monday, but I didn't get to do Monday because there was a hurricane. That was cute. So I want to add a little bit of this peach, kind of all in this to warm it up a little bit more. Just a little hairy hair. I feel like we forget that we can do that. You can use pastels and primary colors to kind of shift what you have on your eye. Perfect. And then I'm gonna use this blue, but we'll come back to that in a minute. I'm just using the side of the brush, and I'm using the tiniest amount of the shadow, but look how smooth. Ooh, that looks smooth. But I'm using the tiniest amount. I'm picking up such a tiny amount to kind of shift and warm. And the brush that I'm using is the E28. You'll notice that it's gonna be a little flatter than your average eyeshadow brush, and that's because of the technique that I like to teach. And that's how we get this smooth, smooth, smooth blend. I wanted these very specific fibers, and I also wanted it to be a little bit flatter, but if you need to buff, you absolutely can. But I just think that a little bit tighter like this lends itself to such a smoother blend. All right, now let's take our micellar water and our C30. Just kind of clean this up. We can always melt the white base in and the blue in later. It doesn't have to be a cut crease, but by cleaning this, you get such a more saturated pastel later. Anytime that we dull down a pastel, you're gonna lose the intensity of it. Now we got Sheila, just give it a little tap. Dry your lid off. Nice. Good to go. You know what? I think I wanna add a little bit of a red brown in the socket here. We need an E27. I have an idea, because I love red with blue. It's really, really pretty. But again, I'm still wanting that definition. I like that very cool tone there, but I'm gonna leave the red a little bit, ooh, perfect. You see how red that is? You can really see that difference when you hold it up to the cooler tone. But we don't have to blend out the red the same way. I just wanna add it because it's really gonna make that pastel pop. Yep, that's what I had in mind. You hold my brush farther back, be able to kind of push it in there a little bit more. And thanks for letting me get a little bit more feral today. I needed my blue eyeshadow. Now I'm gonna deepen under that one more time, just kind of have that peek through. And I'm deepening with the first shade that we laid down. Now we're just gonna clean this up again. I wasn't sure that I was gonna do it, or I wouldn't have even cleaned up before the red. All right, now it's time for the white base. I just had to add that red. So they're very complementary colors. Well, just think about red, red, orange being across the color wheel from blue, and that's why it's really going to pop. Color theory, even in eyeshadow, is fun. Now again, I'm not gonna make this a cut crease, and I'm using clean canvas in the shade white, but I'm just gonna take it to about right there, just to make sure that it's smooth is really the only important part at this point, because I'm gonna have the blue kind of lightly cascade. I'm not taking a C30 and getting there and making this really sharp. I want it all to kind of melt together. Time for our pastel. And if you want your pastel to pastel, you're gonna load up your brush, okay? You're gonna take that and you are going to press, 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 pack that on, get it all over the lid, and then I try to not move my lid too much, and by move I mean open, until it's set where I would have creasing. It's really important to really pack the color on where we know we have creasing, because we're setting that base with this, and by setting that wet base, we're getting a really intense pastel. Oh yeah, that's a party. That's a party. And then I'm taking it and just kind of pushing it up a little bit. See how it's not technically a cut crease, it's kind of feathering. And this is a reminder, this is the type of stuff in creative makeup, see all this right here, that can be really disheartening, because at this point we just look and we kind of want to give up. But just remember, all of this gets cleaned and tidied. Don't be frightened. You know what else is interesting? This is never to feel sorry for me, because it's literally just about filming. But it's so funny. It's been really hard to film ever since the hurricane, because all you hear are obviously lawn crews, but chainsaws are in the mix because there were so many trees that are down. So it's just been so funny. It's actually comical. Never, ever. There are way worse things in this world. But it's hilarious because I'll just be like filming my videos and it's all... Now we're gonna tidy up the micellar water. And then I'm gonna tidy up around here. See the difference? I'm gonna do brown liner. I ordered my Sephora ones. I think they're supposed to be here today, but they're still not here. Or I would go get that. But I do like this one. This one's from KVD. This is Mad Max Brown, which is really, really, it's always been one of my favorite browns. And yes, I'm shaking the heck out of this. So I'm gonna start pretty far down. See where my eye separates? I'm gonna start there today. But I do want to keep the wing. And remember, we can come back and clean up that. No big deal. I want to keep the wing really, really skinny. And in order to do that, it's really important that you have a liner that doesn't bleed. Because if I was to do my swoop, my automatic swoop, just boom, boom, is very, very big. So in order to keep it under control, I do kind of have to keep going in here and lightly patting. I'm using the side of it to do that. The whole side to kind of pat. But sometimes what can happen, just remember, it may not be you, it's your liner. Okay, how funny. Literally, my Sephora liners just got delivered. So let me run downstairs and grab them. I want to do this eye with the Sephora liner. Ha! Secured. We'll swatch them all next week, but let's put on the brown one. It feels like it's going to be a lighter brown. Let me just swatch them next to each other. Maybe this is actually a darker brown, which I don't mind. It is. Barely, though. Yep, that's the Sephora, so it is darker, and then the KVD is the lighter one. Interesting. I already know I love the formula. I just bought the other colors because they were like so on sale. It was a makeup steal. I'm trying to decide if we should add some sparkle. I think that we should. And this is one of my favorite shades in my entire collection because it truly is 1998. That's what it's called. I'm gonna put some here on the back of my hand. This one's from Give Beauty, and it's the most beautiful blue sheer shade. So you can make it very see-through, but you could also really thin it out. See how you can still see my skin through it? It is such a good shade, and it's so nostalgic, and I love it so much, and I want to use it. This is so Gwen. I love it. So I'm gonna put some of this right in the center. I'm using a flat brush. I love it so much. Just wait till you see it with that camera. All right, I don't even know what wear we're on. These are the original ones that I was wearing. Trendsetter. Let me double check. Yes, these are Trendsetter. No, Go Getter. These are Go Getter. Positive. I'm a goblin, I'm sorry. What you saw me do is I was warming them up. If you didn't want to touch them, you could just hit them with a warm blow dryer for 30 seconds and then they would be warmed up, but they do need body heat or some kind of heat to warm them up. Okay, there we go. They're starting to grab already. And again, I don't even know what wear we're on, but let me tell you, we are still going strong. Now, I will be right back because I was just handed a cup of coffee and I was told by Ben that we should go outside and sit in the front yard because it's sprinkling and we're taking a tiny little coffee break. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry that took so long. Y'all, that is humidity. That is just that Houston humidity. No, I don't want to feel my hair on me. I don't want to feel it. I don't want it. Don't want it near my face. I'm a sticky mess. Actually, I'm so sticky. I'm going to take Sheila and some micellar water, the tiniest amount of micellar water. And all I'm going to do, I'm not going to rub. I'm just going to pat that. Sheila will save the day with some micellar water. I don't even want to put foundation on that. What? What does that even mean? What did I do that needed celebrating? Let's try this light reflecting primer from NARS. Is this new? I don't know. I'm gonna do 2 pumps of it. Ooh, it kind of reminds me of MAC Strobe Cream. I also feel like brands kind of listened to all my squawking a few years ago, and primers are more like skincare now. All of our squawking helped. This, it says after skincare, before makeup, obviously. But I don't know the ingredients of it. But I can almost promise you the way that it feels like skincare. We'll see. I'm just trying it. We don't know. Don't run out and buy this. We might not even need it. We might have been fine with our moisturizer. It does add a glow, and not just a shiny glow. There's a little bit of some pigments going on there. Ooh, nice. Very blurry. Okay, let's just make sure it's nice and even across the face. And they sent over their foundation too. Now, I've tried this foundation. I'm not gonna lie, this is not one of my favorite foundations at all. I don't hate it. That's a very strong word. I don't tend to use, but I also don't love it. It just doesn't really impress me. It's their light reflecting. This is the light reflecting right before I start squeaking and squawking. Yes, light reflecting foundation. I knew that, but I'm just always cautious. So this is the shade Velours. And I'm pretty sure the match. So I don't know if y'all know this, but Shiseido owns NARS, and anything Shiseido runs pretty warm. Now I do feel like they were kind of ahead of their time with this formula because it's so thin, but to me it's almost a very greasy thin. But I have it. I want to just try it. They sent it. Let's give it another chance, shall we? Okay, let's grab our brush. All right, let's take our C42. I've seen where I had that foundation if I wiped it off before I get it everywhere. I will say Velours is, it's a decent match. I don't know, I just feel like for how much this foundation is, it just doesn't, it never did. And remember, it's just a personal preference, but I wanna share those with y'all. That's what we're here for. We're just friends chatting about makeup. I know that there's a lot of things my friends don't enjoy, but I like them. So we're just all different, but I do feel like it's still a little too yellow for me. I can fix it. We all know we can fix it. But I just, I'm not looking for full coverage. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for something that looks better than that. It just doesn't wow me for how much this foundation is. And it just feels, don't even get me started on the way it feels. I don't like the way it feels. And I'm okay being dewy. Luckily, I have a friend that is very similar in shade, so I'm gonna let them try it. I don't want y'all to ever think anything goes to waste. I even keep things for reference, and I'm always testing. I didn't have a Velours right now. I didn't have that shade, so I still wanted to try it out. I don't love it. Now I'm just grumpy and a little yellow. Here's how we're gonna fix it. There's lots of ways. I could add red to it, but I always wanna give y'all options. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a warmer cream bronzer. Well, I thought it was. Let me find one. Ooh, this is actually a really good shade. That's nice and warm. It has a little bit of red. This is Nude Sticks and the shade is Manila. So let's just go ahead and throw that on. We're still gonna do concealer, so I'm gonna put on quite a bit. Yep, that's gonna be a good shade. I always like sniffing stuff. It smells almost like food, but in a good way. It's not scented like the Too Faced one. All right, let's work this in. Remember, we went a little heavier. We gotta do some correcting with it. And we're doing this before concealer. That is a really good shade. Minus the hair. It's quiet outside right now. For now. They must have ran out of gas in those chainsaws. They'll be back. They always come back. All right, we're nice and blended, even the nose. Warm that up. And you can already see, just look at my forehead, that it added more of what I got going on here. We're still a little too yellow. But first, before we get really technical and start adding red, which I know, obviously, I'm very versed in that, but it can be scary. So try your bronzer first before you wipe everything off. Then what we're going to do, we're gonna grab our concealer, and I know this is my perfect shade, my Natasha Denona, perfect shade. And I'm gonna add this obviously under my eyes. My little baby hairs are just frazzling because of all the humidity today. That looks good. And then I'm gonna put a little here and a little there. Grab the C42. And I'm using the C42, the foundation brush, because I don't want to just kind of focus this in one area. I want it to really blend into everything else we got going on. Oh, we're back. And we're back. I'm gonna grab the concealer brush from the Essential Travel set. And we're just going, we do want a concealer brush because I am concealing here. I'm not really trying to fix anything because I didn't have the foundation underneath my eyes, so I want to really focus that. Soften the edges. I remember when the NARS, when this was really popular, back in the day, a lot of people, when they would use these foundations, even on YouTube, everybody was mixing, and it even kind of made me think, because I couldn't have afforded 2 and 3 foundations at the time, so they would mix it in with other foundations, and that's one of the reasons I try not to mix or even palette hop, because I understand that not everybody, their passion isn't makeup, so they don't collect it and have as much as I do. So I try to be mindful of that. Now, there's nothing wrong with it, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't do that. That's a luxury, though, and I do try to be mindful about that, and that's one of the reasons my page is now so dedicated to education. Let's make sure this is nice and blended. Looks so much better. Now, I do want to hop off and compare. I'm going to powder and everything, but for blush, I'm going to do I want to compare it. And I think pink will be pretty with the blue. I love pink and blue. I'm just a Barbie girl. Okay, I do want a bright under eye today, so I'm grabbing my pink powder here instead of the peach. Let's go ahead and really press that in. It's so pretty. Well, to me, I know we all like different things. Now I'm going to finish the rest of my face. I have just fallen in love with these pressed finishing powders. And I don't know if y'all got the email, but there's quite a few shades. Now, remember, a finishing powder isn't going to have the same level of pigment as a powder foundation. So it doesn't need to have 40 shades, and I think we should for foundation, obviously. But for a finishing powder, it's still going to have a little bit of sheerness. You see the pigment there. My hand's dirty still. You see that pigment, and then you can see it there, okay? But as compared to a powder foundation, the level of pigment is just not going to be the same. But the reason I feel, let me swatch this, let me get all my thoughts. There it is, and then powder foundation, totally different, totally different. But I'm going to explain it a little bit more. So the reason we still would want our finishing powder to be a little bit more tinted, and I've talked about it a lot, but I'm still getting questions, and I'm just here to chat, is because when you get into deeper skin tones, even deeper than mine, I'm saying not anything after my skin tone is what I should say, what can happen is we're left with a cast. So I love the thoughtfulness behind a tinted finishing powder. Finishing powder goes last. It's going to be your last step. Now, I have balanced to dry skin, and you're wondering, well, do you have another powder? I'm okay with finishing the perimeter, okay, out here, and even in the middle of my forehead. I'm okay with just a finishing powder. If you are oily, I can't recommend this powder enough if you're oily, even the translucent one. But listen, there could still be a little bit of a cast, and a finishing powder would still, I know it's a lot of powders, and it doesn't mean that you're going to be cakey. It doesn't mean you're going to be heavy, but I will only recommend using this, the translucent one, if you are very oily, because this really does put oil at bay. It's like oil, not around here. So I would still, if you wanted to, you don't have to, but a finishing powder kind of just continues to blur everything together. And the idea of a tinted finishing powder is even on another level of blur. Anytime you can have a tint to your powder, it's the way to go. If you can have your skin tone incorporated as a last step, it's perfect. And I'm just going to go ahead and set everything else, because anything else I'm going to use now is going to be powder. So if I put blush on top of this, I'm going to be just fine. In fact, I wanted to set that foundation a little bit because I don't love the NARS one because it's so wet. So, but that's another story. Now, this bronzer. I apologize, y'all. Sometimes I feel guilty for liking these things, but we don't have to buy it right now, okay? But I will say the benefit to the higher end makeup is that they get this formula first. It eventually will filter down, but if you're thinking about it, it might take someone like e.l.f. A lot longer to get a hold of the formula, and then it still might not be the exact same formula, but sometimes it is. It depends on who owns it. L'Oreal owns YSL, so we might get one, but they definitely don't have one right now. I'll keep you in the know. That's why I do this, because when I do like pricier things, I try to keep an eye out to see who owns that pricier brand, the formula, the similarities. I try. So this is a gorgeous shade, and these are multi-use, but as your makeup mentor, that's what I like to think of myself. When we have a product that's multi-use, yes, you can use this on your eye, but I'm not going to touch it to my eye unless I absolutely dip it in alcohol now, sterilize the heck out of it, and then I kind of still don't want to. So I don't love the idea of multi-use products, only because lip to eye is never a good idea. But I'm just going to use it as a lip liner. And I love the color. I love it. So I'm not against multi-purpose products. I'm not. But not all of us are set up like a working makeup artist, so it can be a little tricky to remember. Did I use that on my lip? Can I use it on my eye? When was the last time I used it on my eye? Is it safe for my eye? So I just always want to be a little bit mindful with that. Oh, I like that color. Okay, let's do this Kevyn Aucoin liquid lip. This is the shade. It's called the Velvet Lip Paint, and the shade is fabulous. Y'all know how much I love a really nudie nude. Ooh, that's pretty. All right, throw that on, and then before it dries, I'm gonna take my same lip liner, the muted mauve, or whatever I labeled. I went and looked it up. Ooh, my skin looks really good now, the powders. And a lot of you are also saying that you don't enjoy that NARS foundation either, and you're saying it just sits on top of the skin. It's fun to hate the same things. We don't hate it, but it could even be our climate. So those are things that I always factor in. Where you live, so many different things. All right, now I'm gonna take some powder foundation from the C30 and just clean up my lip line. And I use powder foundation because it would fill in any gaps, but it would also be pigmented enough to clean the lip line. And also, if you struggle with any kind of bleeding, this is creating a barrier. Nice. All right, let me go put on the blush, and then we'll see if we can see a difference. I'll be right back. All right, I'm already back. One side's the Dior, one side's the Makeup Revolution. I mean, why did it take so long to get a dupe though? How long ago was that? Like 2021, maybe even 2020? But they look so similar to me. Just a tiny baby difference. I'm grabbing, remember the eyeshadow? I'm grabbing that on my C30, and I thought I'd just put that in my lash line here. Bottom lash line. Let me zoom you in. Nice. Nice. Honestly, now we're in Spice Girl territory, and I'm very happy about it. This is what I need. This is what I needed today. That and those extra cups of coffee I had. Let's try out this Westman Atelier mascara. It was sent to me. If you could feel this, this feels like high-end jewelry. That's how heavy this thing is. Let's try it out here. I like how it's definitely not clumpy. It's definitely one you'll have to layer though to build some volume. But that initial application is separation, definition. Even on the very tip of it, where most of the product lies there, right, the tip, you're not getting too much. It's very pretty. We'll have to try it on our top lashes. All right, I think that's going to be it for today. I'm crossing my legs. I sit cross-legged. I know I shouldn't, but sometimes I do. I just gotta sit like that. No, it's not good. I remember one time I was saying I sit on my leg, and the amount of DMs I got saying that was so bad for me. Y'all are literally angels, and the fact that you care warms my heart, but also I'm a creature of habit. I must fold my legs in. All right, I love you with all of my heart. I love you all so much. Thanks for letting me do my blue eyeshadow. I love it. And I think that's it for today. I'm gonna go film some more helpful videos. I have a couple ideas that I wanna do. And I don't like the NARS foundation. If you do, please always remember, even though I'm being a little extra silly and I even said hate, I'm just being so silly. When we don't like the same things, remember that is what makes makeup so much fun, because we enjoy different things. It wouldn't be fun if we only wore one foundation now, would it? No. All right, I love you with all of my heart, and I'll post later tonight. I'll see you there.